Charles, thank you so much for having me, and it's lovely to meet you. It's a real privilege to meet with you.
Now, I'm just one of a judging panel, but they all thought that what you were doing was quite fantastic and have given you the Science Award as a result. But perhaps you could take us back to where you started. How did that first moment where you realized that you were onto something happen?
Yeah, it's quite a funny story. I think there's a cartoon about it where everyone thinks science happens as a eureka, but sometimes science happens as a, this is strange. And that was very much the process for me. I was looking for patches of seaweed in Scotland, and I saw a patch of floating stuff, and I thought, this is strange. It doesn't look like seaweed. What could it be? And I think I'm just really curious about these things. And so I wanted to find out what it was. And I made a list of all of the things that floated in the marine environment. I was like, maybe it's sea foam, maybe it's driftwood. So I went and found what driftwood and sea foam look like to satellites. And at one stage, I was convinced they were birds. I was like, maybe it's just huge amounts of birds that have aggregated along this front. And I went out and tried to find all my bird friends to find out at what time of year we could expect those birds in Scotland, and it was too early. Then thanks to some amazing work done by the University of the Aegean's Marine Remote Sensing Group, they put out plastic targets in Greece. And I looked at those targets, and that was it. I knew straight away that I'd seen plastics. And what we have found is that using free data collected by this amazing satellite, it's a European Space Agency satellite called Sentinel-2, is we are actually able to detect patches of floating plastics in the marine environment. But what's been amazing is over the last year, I've joined a working group called Giant Ocean, where the University of Hawaii, people from the University of Hawaii and NOAA and even Adidas, we work together, and the International Space Station, and we work together to try and solve or to try and help the collection or removal of ghost nets and derelict fishing gear in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch.
It's one of the things that everybody has heard of, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Is it actually a patch? How big is the plastic in it?
So it's a broth. It's got pieces of plastic floating in it, but it's not really densely packed in the way that you would find it in the coastal zone or along beach fronts. But it's all down the water column, so it's not always on the surface either. And we found that as well with the ghost nets, is that they're a bit like icebergs. The bulk sits beneath the surface of the water. We're looking for surface signatures that we can detect from satellite, and it's quite tricky. But having said that, when ocean voyagers do go out and they find these sort of areas where the circulation has gathered the plastic into diffuse but big patches, they can often remove tons at a time in quite a small area. So that's what we're trying to help and support with the satellite data, is going, if you just go a little bit west, you're going to find that patch and you're going to be able to remove loads in a go. And that's what we're trying to do. It's very much a needle in a haystack exercise. You're looking for absolutely small pinpricks or points along a front, or you've got thousands of pixels in a scene, and you're looking for a handful. But I'm okay with that. I definitely don't ever want to reach a stage where it's really easy for me to see plastic because there's so much of it.